What's going on, guys? It's Justin from Push and Profit. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about Tesla stock and why it's falling down. We're going to go ahead and look into a few things. Let's go into the charts. So right here, I'm using the Weibo platform. For those of you guys that are curious what broker I use, that's the broker I use. And right now, we see that Tesla on a 5-minute time frame, so relatively speaking, a small time frame, is selling off, right? It's selling off, and we see that actually a new candle being printed on the 5-minute of it going, pretty much to the low of the day, right? And then we also see that the RSI is at this area where it's typically oversold. But again, when it comes to, doing your technical analysis, I tend to not look into the smaller time frames as a really strong supportive analysis, or just you looking at the data. I like to look at larger time frames because they tend to hold more true and more stronger, right? And it looks like we're going to be testing this low of the day. But what I point out is that if we zoom back, we're gonna see these two rectangles over here, this red rectangle and then this blue one over here. So really what those are supply and demand zones. I made a video about this a while ago, but and again, this is on the smaller time frame, so you have to be cautious about this. But pretty much a few days ago, Tesla was pretty much testing this area over here, and it couldn't really break above it that day. So I labeled that as a supply zone, right? There's a lot of supply, prices are going down. However, in the after hours, it did break above it, and then that's why the rectangle on the right side is blue, because old supply zones become new demand zones, just as support and resistances, right? This is something that we talk about in the Push and Profit program. And so right over here, we bounced above it, right? And we started, of course, we sold off yesterday, and then in the after hours we did reach up, and then today we're selling below. So again, this demand zone over here that's on the 5-minute view, you have to understand that if we do break below that area, it's not a very strong area, right? Now on a bigger scale, we do have this area over here that is a support, and it's simply just a support because if we kind of go to like a 15-minute chart, you're gonna see that it's tested itself as a support a few times. It did break below it and it became a resistance, but then once it broke above it, it became a support again. But lastly, what I want to point out is on a larger time frame, we have this big support over here, right? Now, the reason why this is an area that I'm really truly looking at as far as Tesla goes is because this is a large time frame trend line going over here, or actually support, right? And that's because in the past it was resistance, but if we actually go further back, this was a major resistance for a while. Pretty much in the beginning of 2021, Tesla wasn't doing too well. Tesla's just started doing well towards the third quarter, or pretty much the third and final quarter of the year. We see that Tesla made all-time highs in the beginning of January, and we sold off. And as we were solding off, I mentioned that you may want to wait until we touch an area of support. And then we did hover, we consolidated for a while, and then recently we've been having a strong push against EV. Tesla has been pretty much in the headlines recently. And then a few videos ago I talked about what was going on with the selling over here with Elon Musk selling off a lot of shares. Again, I'm not going to really cover that, but another thing that I did point out with this larger time frame that you have to really just consider, right, is that on top of this area being a really solid area of support, because it was a pretty strong resistance in the past, we see this gap over here, right? Now, gaps, again, with everything when it comes to technical analysis, doesn't have to fulfill its prophecy, or I can't think of the word, right? But it doesn't have to, hold true, right? And what I'm basically saying is that typically when there's a gap fill, stocks tend to fill the gap, meaning Tesla would most likely come down and fill the gap, which would make sense if we filled that gap and started bouncing off the support. But again, when it comes to technical analysis, you don't want to just make predictions. We're really just trading whatever the market presents, and really just taking advantage of the fluctuation in price, which is something I pretty much preach in all my videos, right? But really what we have to look at is Tesla going to be breaking below these smaller time frames? And if so, where are we going to hold off to? Now, we also have some news that came out today, so I kind of wanted to just point out to that. And the news over here, let me just actually go to this article first. And it just mentions that influential magazine Consumer Reports said on Thursday, 8 of its top 10 reliable auto brands were from Asia, with Tesla ranking number 27th, right? Now, this honestly isn't surprising to me, as historically speaking, as far as reliability goes, ratings has always favored towards, you know, vehicles from the Asian market. So think of Toyota or Toyota, however people want to pronounce it, and Honda, right? Think of those, automobile makers, right? Historically speaking, have always been favored as, reliable as far as, how they last and durability. And then American, or domestic vehicles have pretty much always been on the bottom. Now again, I'm not saying I'm a big fan of Tesla. However, historically speaking, that's just how it's always been, right? Now we also have a little bit more details from this article, and it just mentions that Tesla vehicles and electric SUVs from competitors are among the least reliable models sold in the United States, according to Consumer Reports, right? So we have some slander come out today about Tesla. Going forward, it says electric SUVs as a vehicle category is the absolute bottom in terms of reliability, Jake Fisher says, director of vehicle testing at Consumer Reports, said that Thursday during a presentation at the Detroit Automobile Press Association. So, we have someone pretty much just talking bad about, the overall Tesla brand. Consumer Reports rated the reliability of Tesla Model 3s as average, but the rest of Tesla vehicle lineups came in with below average ratings, which is pretty surprising to me, actually. Now, I know just a minute ago I said that, Asian cars or from Asian markets have historically been more reliable than, domestic vehicles. However, with Tesla being a new brand, I wasn't sure how Tesla ranked as far as, other domestic vehicles, but according to this report, everything but the Tesla 3 is ranking below average, which is actually, pretty shocking to me. I did not know that. Let me know in the comment section if you knew that. But anyways, going further into this report, I went on the actual website of consumerreports.org, and it just mentioned that mentions that Asian automobile makers are still leading reliability by a wide margin, with an overall reliability average of 62 for the region. European nameplates are in second place, but trailing 18 points at 44, although domestic brands score last with an average of 42 across all vehicles. US-based automobile makers have had some individual standout models. Now, of course, there are some models that are, deemed very reliable. I'm not saying, or this is not actually coming from me, but overall it's just saying that not all American or domestic vehicles are related below. There are some like outliers that have a, great reliability rating, right? But again, this news just came out today, which could be, playing into the catalyst of why Tesla is, pretty much selling off. Now, we just made new lows for the day. It looks like we have this hammer shaped candle. But again, when it comes to buying supports, something that I just realized I'm not on a chart, so you guys couldn't see what I was talking about. But we made new lows for the day. And one thing that I always talk about, people always say online, oh, just buy the dip, just buy the dip. And, I'm a firm believer that, the dip can always get dippier. And so, one thing that we talk about in the Push and Profit program is that you don't want to just buy in, at the low of the day or whatever support. You want to wait for something called, confirmation, right? Because you want to confirm that things are going up. One of the things we look for confirmation is, with price action, and if any of the other, indicators that we use to really measure historical prices, if there's like a crossover or, divergence. But overall, going to my outlook on Tesla, and you guys, if you guys don't know, because I was about to say you guys know, but if you guys don't know, I have a long-term position in Tesla, right? I have small amount, about $8,000 in Tesla right now, speaking, and or actually 15,000. And one thing that I'm looking at is if we touch this, demand zone, are we gonna immediately bounce up? If not, then the next area that I'm really looking at, I'm not really paying attention to this area over here. It's really this major area over here at, around 900, right? Because this is a big deciding factor. If we break below that, then we officially confirm, that we're in a downtrend, right? And so that's something that I want us to, or anyone watching, to really just be aware about, that if we do cross below this 900, we fill the gap, but we don't bounce up, then we're going to be ultimately in a downtrend, and that's when I'm probably gonna have to switch my outlook on Tesla, maybe just sell my shares, or really just average into it, because I would have to see what the next area is, which looking at it right now at a quick glance, let me just go ahead and draw a little horizontal line. I would have to say that around this area where we were consolidating would be the next area of support. But you have to understand that this is pretty far from, um, where we were just looking at. That was an additional 63%. So I'm not sure if I'm willing to, hold into and add in average down when the next area is 63%. But am I saying it's going to hit that area? Absolutely not. All I'm saying is we got to see what's going on with this $900 area. Are we going to start testing it? If so, once we start bouncing off of it, I'll definitely average into my long-term position in Tesla. But I just wanted to make this quick and concise video to really just talk about what's going on with Tesla. It looks like we're approaching to make lower lows for the day. Let's go ahead and go back to the S&P 500 ETF. It looks like we're pretty much consolidating. And then also I wanted to really just talk about what was going with Rivian, which I believe is ticker symbol RIVN. This was an EV stock that people were, they were saying that it was going to the moon. Just another IPO. And typically, with IPOs, this is almost always, if not historically speaking, all the time how they play out. There is a big run up and then eventually they sell off, and then of course 6 months later when the people, the original investors lose their lockup period, they start selling off shares. So IPOs is pretty much a historical pattern. I should probably make another video on that actually, but a lot of people thought this was gonna just continue going up, which I was surprised that it went up for this amount of days. I mean, it was absolutely insane how high it kept going. But with this selling off, there may be individuals, either exiting out the whole entire EV space as far as trading and investing goes, or they may possibly just be, switching over to stocks like Tesla. At the end of the day, when it comes to trading, no one has a crystal ball, and whoever does, they're just, saying that they know what's going to happen. They're just lying, right? No one absolutely knows, which is why we don't predict the market. We measure the market. But with that being said, make sure to check out the links in the description, because one of the links is going to be a link to a free cheat sheet that I provided. You just put your email and you could download, it'll be sent to that email for you, or you'll have access to it. And once you have that, it's just going to help you understand how to trade a reversal, which is something that I think a lot of individuals, especially starting out, struggle with, right? And then lastly, also consider checking out the other links if you want to sign up for Webull, or if you want to join the Push and Profit program, where we kind of expedite the learning curve that comes with trading, because there's going to be a lot of mistakes. And of course, no one's perfect, but by enrolling in that program, it does help expedite one of the most common, or pretty much most of the most common mistakes individuals make when trading in the market. But with that being said, guys, make sure to watch this next video. Actually, the video is right here. Make sure to watch this video over here. It's going to talk about averaging down in the overall market, and there's a calculator there. So with that being said, I'll see you guys on that next video. Take care.